They say Hollywood is the land where secrets go to die. The flashing cameras, the endless gossip sites, the fans watching your every move, it feels impossible to hide anything for long. Yet, every so often, a story slips through the cracks. A story so carefully protected that it becomes more like a whisper than a headline. And that's exactly what happened with Johnny Depp. Johnny isn't new to public fascination. He's been in the spotlight for decades, playing unforgettable roles, living an eccentric lifestyle, and finding his name on the front page more times than he can count. From his breakout days as the heartthrob of the 90s to his rise as one of the most celebrated actors of his generation, every detail of his life has been dissected. His triumphs, his struggles, his relationships, they've all been laid bare for the world to see. But beneath all of that noise, there was something quiet happening. Something tender, something personal, something most people didn't know about. A romance. Now, when you hear Johnny Depp and romance, you probably think of the headlines. The high-profile relationships that dominated magazines, the very public breakups, the court cases that turned into media frenzies. But this story wasn't like that. This one was different. It wasn't built for the spotlight. It wasn't paraded on red carpets or splashed across glossy covers. Instead, it unfolded in secret, hidden away from curious eyes, wrapped in just enough glamour to make it feel like old Hollywood, and fueled by gossip that slipped through the cracks only as whispers. And let's be honest, we're drawn to stories like this. We love a mystery, especially when it involves someone like Johnny, a man who's always carried an air of enigma. Celebrity romances fascinate us because they're both larger than life and oddly familiar. Strip away the fame, and they're just like ours. Two people trying to figure each other out, balancing love with life's challenges, trying to keep something special in a world that doesn't always make it easy. That's why this secret romance feels so compelling. Because underneath the glamour, it's also deeply human. Imagine for a moment what Johnny's life is like. You can't walk down the street without cameras clicking. You can't order coffee without someone sneaking a photo. You can't even fly to another country without reporters tracking where you land. That's the cost of fame. And now, imagine trying to build a relationship in the middle of all that chaos. It sounds nearly impossible. But somehow, Johnny managed it. While the world was distracted by endless headlines, he was carving out quiet moments of his own, moments that nobody noticed at first. It began like so many love stories do, not with fireworks or a grand announcement, but with something smaller, something quieter. A spark that nobody else saw. While people speculated about his career, his finances, or his legal battles, Johnny was giving his attention to something real. Something that mattered only to him and the person beside him. That's where the glamour behind closed doors comes in. Picture it, dinners in small, hidden restaurants where the lighting is low and the tables are tucked into corners. The kind of places where you don't need to dress up for anyone except each other. Nights spent in cozy spaces where they could laugh, talk, and just be themselves without worrying about who might be watching. And sometimes, trips far away from the Hollywood spotlight, cities where they weren't expected, where they could walk the streets like ordinary people. It was almost like stepping into another era. Back in the days when movie stars could vanish for weeks and nobody knew where they'd gone. Back when love stories weren't posted online or tracked in real time. For Johnny, those escapes weren't just romantic. They were necessary. A way to breathe, to be human again, to remember that beyond the characters he plays and the controversies that surround him, he's still just a man looking for connection. Of course, in Hollywood, secrets rarely last forever. Whispers started to spread. Friends of friends began to notice. Little hints slipped out here and there. Was Johnny seeing someone? Was he in love again? The questions grew louder, and like smoke seeping under a door, gossip found its way into the open. But even then, the details were fuzzy. Nothing was confirmed. Nobody had a clear picture. And that only fueled the curiosity. Why the secrecy? That's the question everyone asked. And the answer is actually simple. Privacy wasn't just a preference for Johnny, it was protection. Think about it. His past relationships were dissected to pieces. Every smile became a headline. Every fight became a rumor. And every private detail ended up public property. Imagine living like that, where even the most intimate parts of your life are judged by strangers. It's exhausting. This time, he wanted something different. He wanted to control the narrative, to hold on to something precious before the world could tear it apart. And here's where the story starts to feel really relatable. Because haven't we all done this, in our own way? Maybe you didn't hide from paparazzi, but maybe you didn't tell friends right away about someone new. Maybe you wanted to keep things between just the two of you for a little while, until you were sure. Or maybe you've even been in a situation where other people's opinions started to affect your relationship, and you thought, if only we could shut all of that out. That's exactly what Johnny was doing. Now, here's where the lessons shine through. Because even though it's wrapped in Hollywood glamour, there's a lot we can learn from this story. For starters, privacy protects peace. Relationship experts often talk about how too many outside voices can weaken the bond between two people. Even when friends and family mean well, their opinions can create confusion and stress. And when you add gossip, strangers, and the internet to the mix, it's chaos. Keeping certain things private allows couples to hear each other clearly without all that outside noise. Another lesson? Romance doesn't need an audience. Think about it. Some of the happiest moments in life are the ones nobody else sees. The quiet mornings, the late-night talks, the little inside jokes. They don't need to be shared to be real. Love isn't about the spotlight. It's about connection. And sometimes, the smaller and more private it is, the stronger it becomes. And then there's the confidence in silence. One person close to Johnny put it in a way that really stuck. Sometimes the loudest love stories are the ones nobody hears about. Isn't that powerful? We live in a time where people post everything, where couples broadcast their anniversaries, their dinners, even their arguments. But the relationships that last often don't need the applause. They're steady, quiet, and grounded in something deeper than likes and shares. For Johnny, that was the point. His secret romance wasn't about hiding out of shame or playing games. It was about protecting peace. It was about having one corner of his life that wasn't up for debate, one relationship that was his and his alone. And that makes sense when you think about his history. After years of being defined by the headlines, having something private must have felt like the ultimate luxury. Now, let's circle back to something I mentioned earlier. Imagine being in his shoes. What would you do? If you had the entire world watching, would you keep your love life a secret, or would you share it? There's no single answer. Some people want to celebrate their love out loud, while others feel safer keeping it quiet. It's one of those choices that shows who you are and what matters to you. So let me ask you directly. What would you do? Would you keep your romance under wraps, or would you shout it from the rooftops? Think about it, and drop your thoughts in the comments, because I'd love to know. And here's the thing, this isn't just Johnny's story. It's a reminder that love, whether it's in Hollywood or in your own neighborhood, is complicated. It needs protection. It needs patience. And sometimes, the best way to make it last is to keep parts of it just for the two of you. If you're hooked on stories like this, ones that mix a little mystery with a lot of heart, you'll want to stick around. My next video dives into another untold Hollywood romance, and trust me, it's one you don't want to miss. Before you go, if you enjoyed this glimpse behind the curtain, do me a favor. Give this video a like, hit that subscribe button, and ring the bell so you never miss a story. Because here's the truth, Hollywood whispers never really stop. They just wait for someone willing to listen.